Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our workshop on our experiences and insights on covert and overt racism within the Green Party and microaggressions within the Green Party. Today, we have a small panel of speakers who are here to relate their experiences and advice on how to increase participation for members of the Black community based on our experiences and educational backgrounds. We will begin with Ray Stone Grover, who will introduce herself and impart the information that she feels our members and allies should be aware of, followed by Robin Harris, Ani Baraka, Delacroix, and me, Dee Murphy.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and joining us this lovely afternoon. My name is Regina Stone Grover. I go by Ray, but I'm also, these are some of the things that people may know about me. I'm a psychologist. I am with the Green Party of Michigan, and I'm the communications manager there. I have a bachelor's of arts, a bachelor's of science from Central Michigan University, and a master's of arts at Western Michigan University. So those are some things that I want to start with because to go into some of the things that people may not know. I've organized for a long period of time, including, Take Back the Night and the B-Day campaign. And I even have started an urban empowerment, a literary program in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And so when going into those spaces being an activist, being someone who strongly brings myself to the space, there are some things that I know and things that I would kind of like to say that a lot of times being an oppressed person going into spaces to expand the space or to create more opportunity for other people, there are some things that we tend to come into the space knowing, and that's do the work, be open to learn, have compassionate understanding, have empathy, and of course, we tend to also not necessarily always know this, but for those of us who do may come into the space being family centered and prioritize family and having that knowledge of self-care. And so oftentimes what being a Black person who is working really hard in spaces where people are working to bring community together may often be doing it is for the futures or for the children of everybody else who is in the space as well. And so these are some of the things that we come in founded in, empathy, understanding, recognizing that we are not the center of the space. Over. So now I'm going to share some of my, one of my most profound experiences since I've been in the Green Party. I was at a meeting and I was meeting with a group of individuals. This was all over Zoom. And what ended up occurring was at some point, it was the transfer we had just had elections. We were working through the transfer of power, working through the transfer of information. And we were kind of just talking about how we were going to work and make everything worked together, come together, bring everything together. And at some point, one of the individuals felt it was necessary to single me out. And at first, this person intended to make negative comments about the party. And I am new in the space. So of course, I already know I'm not the center, but I'm being centered. I already know that I need to be empathetic, but I'm not receiving that same treatment. As a matter of fact, this person is quite abrupt in their behavior. They're speaking with a level of intimidation, and they're saying things that are very abrupt to me. Now, because I know I'm not the center of the space, it's already quite traumatic. And I'm trying to, my goal is to internalize this behavior and try to divert the attention away from me as much as possible. Because this person makes these comments and they are negative about all the people that are volunteering with me. But my name happens to be the name that she uses to make these statements about. Then at some point in the meeting, we're all kind of discussing how to work together. And this particular individual feels like it's necessary to tell me that I need to accept the help that I've been given. Now, at no point have I said that I need help. I have discussed with everybody that we all are expanding, we need resources, how we're working together, because some people have access to things that I don't have access to yet. And so we should be able to work together to get access to build out our party. And this person then proceeds to single me out again, to be very confrontational with me and tell me that I need to accept the help that other people are willing to give me. And in this particular state, I'm again among people that I'm volunteering with. I'm getting to know them, they're getting to know me. And this is the encounter that I have. So of course I'm feeling invalidated because this is a role that I've stepped into, but now I'm already being told that I need help. I'm being gaslighted because at no point have I said I need help. I've just said with everyone else that we all need access to resources. And so this was a very intimidating and aggressive behavior. Over. So these are things that may happen very easily because coming into a space, I understood I'm not the center of the space. I understand that I am here to help. I'm here to be compassionate to others. And someone who feels like they can step into the space and use their privilege or their opportunity to remind me that I'm only a guest in the space, to remind me that that they feel like I don't deserve to be there and they have the right to overtly express that, offers so many things, internalizing, trying to redirect the energy, trying to figure out how I can solve this problem because I already feel a certain amount of responsibility, and then also gaslighting me and telling me that I don't really belong to be there because I need help, even though at no point did I myself say that. So those are just some of the that's my experience, and those are some of the things that I've experienced that is part of the layers of what comes in that type of oppression. Thank you. Over.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us, Ray. The next speaker is Robin Harris. Robin, are you there?
Yes, I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Robin.
Okay, hi. So first, thank you, Ray, for sharing that story. Thank you, Dee, for inviting me. And I felt like I've kind of shared some of my stories over time. So I don't want to take up a lot of space because I want to give space to those who are newer to the party. But Dee has asked me to share some. I kind of shared a little bit earlier. So and I'll just, I guess, share that one because unfortunately I have many stories. Uh, so it was when I first came into the Green Party. Uh, I was introduced to the Green Party by two friends, Miguel Adams, and now the late Reverend Bruce Wright. Many of you may know him. He was my warrior friend. He was like a big brother, everything all in one. So I always told him, no matter what happened, it's your fault that I'm in the Green Party. But he's since passed a few months ago. So I came to the very first state, our state annual, our very first state annual meeting in Tampa, Florida. And when I arrived at the location, I'd come up with other Green Party members, but of course I stood out, which I didn't think anything of it. And so when I approached the room, two Green Party white older gentlemen, they walked up to me and began to tell me they needed chairs, uh, different things moved around. And at first it didn't click that they think I'm the help, which wouldn't be a bad thing, but just the tone and just the audacity to approach me in such a manner. And I pretty much held my peace until the end and tried to bring this issue up. So, and there are other examples, unfortunately, that I have, but that was my welcoming moment into the Green Party, and it didn't get resolved unnecessarily. Um, as I said, Reverend Bruce was my friend, and he confronted it pretty heavily, but because we have decentralization, there was no real surefire way of trying to get it resolved in a manner that I really felt comfortable with. And I ended up having to deal with some of those same folks as a few years ago. And so that was my one experience, my first experience with the Green Party. And Adi, what else did you want me to share?
So I have up currently, you just covered everything. You've been a Florida Green Party chair or a member for 6 years, and you joined 6 years ago. And on the PowerPoint presentation, you explained what happened with your first meeting. Also, it says that you were called racial slurs by members of the party.
Yes, that was another event that took place. Yeah, and I had really no one to. Well, I reported these issues because I was just, as you can imagine, I was just like, "What? Are you serious?" And so, and I also was sent, uh, emails and that were horrific. And so, because of the way that we approach decentralization or other things, I had no real way to resolve it, except for my own way. And so my own way was kind of colorful, and I won't go to it on this presentation, but that was the only way. After I went to person after person and caucuses after caucus, I couldn't find a resolve. And so I just had to use my own colorful dictionary and uh, make my own suggestions. And that was how I kind of got that situation resolved. And so I'm hoping that this weekend that we can find some type of resolve, because I remained in the Green
I
Party.
wasn't sure if today was the last.
Someone's talking.
I'm not certain who that is, but please mute. Thank you. Appreciate it. We're kind of operating on a tight schedule.
Okay, I'll hurry really quick. So I'm hoping that we can move forward in healing and resolve issues. There are many, unfortunately, many stories that that mirror mine. And Ray, I would consider Ray to be one of our newer members, and to know that these things are still. But we're people. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what party you're in, right? Because they're people. No, I grew up with the saying, no church is perfect, or it is until you get there. So the Green Party is not free from racism or racism, oppression, colonialism, any of those things, because people carry those factors within them and sometimes within their DNA. So we must find ways to resolve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robin, for your contribution to this presentation. And I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself, so I'm going to stop the share and get back to where we were.
It's okay.
But I know that you also had something that you had wanted to contribute to towards moving forward as a party. That's also on our screenshot here on our PowerPoint presentation.
Dee, can you prep me as to where I just finished one? Everything is running together from the last workshop.
Oh, Okay, one moment. So the last point that you had said that you had wanted to make was how we move forward as a party.
Yeah, I thought I covered it, but I can restate. I think, well, this workshop, I mean, yeah, this weekend is being geared toward hopefully offering some healing. It's focused around anti-oppression uh, and finding finding ways and solutions um, that can alleviate oppression. I don't think it's going to be I think it's going to take work. It's going to take more than just these 4 days, but it's going to take uh, sincere approaches to all these issues and actually listening. And I appreciate this workshop giving folks a voice and space to share their experiences.
Thank you very much. So next is Ani Baraka. I'll go back to sharing the screen here. And Ani Baraka Delacroix will share her experiences.
Hello, everyone. I am the current co-chair of the Alabama Green Party, as well as the co-chair of the Mobile Bay Green Party. I have been an activist in some capacity since I was 16 years old. That's a little over 20 years now. Starting off with voter registration and things of that nature, moving all the way forward to fighting voter suppression and lobbying for women's rights and things of that nature. I want to say though, I give my background, but I don't feel as if my background should validate my experience one way or the other. I think an experience that we have or problem that we have is being very dismissive of a person if they don't fit a specific criteria as a person who's experienced something. Whether I have been an activist for 20 years or I just started does not invalidate my experience, and that's how I feel. Moving forward, the very first thing I saw as a member of the Green Party growing once I joined the Mobile Bay Green Party was this slide. It was a little off-putting. One, I was the only Black person in the room, but then I think there was only one other person of color in the room. And the very first thing I see of the Alabama Green Party representation was the state of Alabama covered in cotton. As a Black person, I was very upset. I was very off-put, but I don't think my counterparts saw that. And that's what my explanation of, there's a lot of blind spots that seem to be missed with people when it comes to things that could be insensitive to other people. Having cotton on a shirt that's supposed to represent a progressive space, an inclusive space, is very not only off-putting, but it's unsettling to think that this would be the very first thing I see. And also the very first thing is for the only Black person in the room to have, one, not been recruited, which speaks for the recruitment process, and two, that everything full of about 20 people and the then sitting chair comes to me and all, but he didn't attack me, but he was very aggressive in his approach. And it made me say, I'm either going to really, really not like this person, or I'm going to have a love-hate relationship with this person because of the approach of how it was given to me. That says a lot about, one, how people are presented in this party and how people are welcomed within certain spaces. If I had been a person that was not, I guess, as strong-willed and a little less settling. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes, it was just a little.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes. you're great.
Okay. Yes, I think being in that sort of situation and coming into a space that you think is going to be progressive and welcoming, and it not being that way, except for on paper, was very off-putting. I had to decide whether I wanted to keep forward, because even though I had been a registered Green since 2001, this was my first time actually reaching out, and no one reached out to me. I seeked them out. And the first thing that I get was this impact of,
Hi, you're garbling again. I'm sorry.
yes, I get this impact of cotton and aggressiveness immediately when I enter the space. So I think the most important thing is to understand how it's perceived and how people are welcome or not welcome into spaces, and understanding your blind spots and not discrediting or dismissing people's experiences when they speak up about something that is affecting them. I apologize for the distorted sound.
Are you
Yes, I'm finished. Go ahead.
over? Okay.
Yes.
So now I got to stop share. I got ahead of myself again with this. For some reason, there's no option to, oh, there we go. There we go. So thank you very much for sharing your experiences in Alabama. I have a lot of information to impart, so I'm going to be speaking very, very quickly, but I feel that since this is recorded, this is very important for newer members who are coming in that are Black, that may be isolated, that need to understand how, and for everyone else, for our allies to be able to understand some of the experiences that we have from our perspective, from our worldview. I will go ahead and start my video. Hi, everyone. So a little about myself is up in the corner. I've got a bachelor's of in leadership and organizational communication from St. Cloud State University, which it took me 28 years to get through a lot of struggle. And I finally got that in 2015. I've taken on graduate studies in social responsibility and done graduate level gerontology work towards a certificate, which is ongoing at St. Cloud State University. So there's a couple of other qualifications, but I want to start out by explaining what brought me to the Green Party. I really joined with optimism, despite having determined never to be involved with politics. After what happened with Carol Moseley Braun when I was young, she to me was a hero. She was our first Black senator. She was very progressive, as far as I knew, and basically was targeted from several different levels to the point where they did very racist commercials. They sped up her speech, to make her talk like her lips were flapping in commercials. And when I saw this as a young woman, it made a huge impression on me. I just determined, no, never, I will never become involved with politics. And it was enough of a scare. Fast forward to 2016, and Bernie Sanders enters the race. And he's saying everything I want to hear as a citizen that, is kind of on the fringes economically, and his message just resounded. So I went to bat for him. I actually got off the couch and started canvassing. I went to state as a delegate for him. I had never been involved with the Democrat Party, but in this case, I jumped in. And so I canvassed and did all of that. I actually witnessed firsthand the systematic rigging that was going on, and therefore became kind of disillusioned, and decided that I would not be participating with that party, nor would I be participating in politics at all. So someone that I knew from the progressive circles suggested that I look into Jill Stein and the Green Party. And I did. I looked into her speeches. I looked into her presentation. I loved everything she had to say. I loved the entire message that was being put forth by the Green Party and what I was being told about them about the Green Party being a global Green Party movement, all on the same platform throughout the world. I was intrigued, entranced. So I went to an outreach event in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and it was my first time. Right then I was handed a list of several hundred people and said, yeah, we need someone to build in your area, in your congressional district. So it was a lot of trust for my first meeting. I was just kind of thrown out there. And basically there were, when I came in, there was a woman by the name of Lena Bugs who was on her way exiting. She was very disillusioned. She was very disenfranchised. She had been on a coordinating committee of the state for over 4 years, holding it down by herself. And at the end, she just had enough. She went out publicly talking about the racist behaviors, which seemed to really injure a lot of the members of our state coordinating committee. They couldn't understand why she felt they were racist. And watching what happened with her, I said, well, I need to lay low. I need to lay low. And I did that for the first year. I laid low. I learned everything I could possibly learn about the Green Party. And it was a great experience for about the first year. At the time, there were 3 Black participants in my state at the time, and one had left twice. Twice I roped him back in, I need some help here. Expressed the need to work together, detailed the need for a local Black caucus. The second Black caucus, or the second Black person, takes the idea and creates a Black and Brown caucus with Democrats, says nothing to me, and I have to find out through a white member that this is going on, that there's an event planned. I still forgive it, shrug it off, until their true colors began to show when white people pitted them against me and they put on a public confrontation rather than speak with me like we did every day via phone and chat. The second didn't like the third. Again, I sent out chat messages, requests for working together and for unity. Each were on our own agenda. Imagine what we could have done had we worked together. Unfortunately, people fell prey to the old colonization tactic of divide and conquer. Hey, you're okay, but I have a problem with that other one. This and that is wrong with them. Don't you see it? The third was primarily interested in running for office and would not heed requests. So I write the bylaws, present it to the coordinating committee, and beg for this person to join on. They finally submit 5 names for the 10 needed to form the state of Minnesota Black Caucus. This was tabled when I left the party due to a lot of opposition. So, during the honeymoon phase, it's myself and 4 white males on the committee. The secretary is there. It's a female. She had a major in women's studies for graduate degree, but she has old connections with and sides with the males on everything. As long as I'm quiet and doing administrative work, things are great. I even spoke proudly about how well we got along once I was put on national as a delegate, which was a big mistake and drew attention. So on a state level, my experience was that local infiltrators that I personally believe came from another party, or at least it appeared to me that way. I don't know if they came back in later or what, but they suddenly appear and begin to sour relations. 2 seem to join just to target me. The first one, a gay male, attempts to paint me as a homophobe and gets egg on his face when he finds out more about me. Subsequently, he does the ear whispering and sours in-person meeting communications with body language, eye rolls, sighs when I'm speaking, side eyes, etc. He trolls my Facebook page and works on a database for a while with the main database person, then leaves. The second one, a female from China, votes no to everything I propose and takes listserv comments out of context in a local state and twists the meaning. She votes for censorship of me without listening to details, supporting anything I took a position against, and stayed only briefly. Some key turning points that occurred with me on state: I disagreed with the white male committee members on an effort to coordinate with other alternative parties to run only 1 candidate per statewide office. I expressed that the membership should be made aware of the strategic plan. Letters are sent to potential candidates stating that we are not interested in running other candidates. One is received by number 3, who wants to run for governor. I actively recruit a candidate for state auditor as well and support other candidates running for city council in their wards. One person that I actively recruited to run for office decides that being promoted within the Green Party to run for Senate is not enough. They want all resources to themselves and for us to run no other candidates. So they coordinate with the white males on a committee. The recruit tries to intimidate me during statewide endorsing meeting, leaning over me to, in an intimidating manner, which continues the pattern that they had established in our private communications leading up to it. My use was done, so now I was disposable. I try to warn others, but I'm dismissed and called transphobic due to highlighting the patriarchal mindset and behavior of the candidate, even though I found and recruited said candidate prior to finding out more about them. During the statewide meeting, I advocate for the governor candidate as well to balance the slate. That person is also endorsed during the convention, which infuriates the white males on the committee. The governor candidate fails to get enough signatures due to being given the wrong paperwork, and no efforts from other members of the committee are there to support their efforts. I do want to remind everyone that this is documented. All of this, all the information that I'm sharing is documented, and requests for documentation will be shared upon request. So during the meeting, the new recruit for Senate is given access to the donor database. Even though at the time they will not commit to being a Green and working on foundational levels for the Green Party. I request a confidentiality agreement so that the donor database does not get shared, since they had already run with 2 other parties and could do so again. I am yelled at, red-faced, and called defacing names in front of the 3rd person governor candidate who is attending per request for co-chair, request of the co-chair of the National Black Caucus. The person finds it amusing and at one point calls the behavior of the white males unnecessary, while phones are pointed at me exploding after being called names for doing my job. Names that I am called are hateful, disruptive, dramatic, and divisive, which I am finding is during research are often used to label Black women with strong voices. Meanwhile, National begins to pay attention, good and bad. I'm nominated for the steering committee, which makes local white males jealous and determined to trip up my candidacy. They work with white males on National and 2 minority faces that are in front of them to portray me in a negative light, and delegates that I previously had harmonious relationships with to say negative things about me on a national listserv. I found out that one of them is with an alternative marijuana now party, which violates local bylaws about belonging to more than one party and being on a coordinating committee. The other is receiving emails about me from the then co-chair, who is apparently circulating rumors and negative things about me behind my back locally, and I have email proof of that. A team of mostly white males begins a damage campaign during my SC run, calling people and saying bad things about me and why not to vote for me. Another male that is running for this position leaks internal discussions, giving competitor and the white male team something to go on. Due to being told to support one another, I am in an uncomfortable position of having to back this leak of information up. It was accurate, but did nothing for my image, as thanks to patriarchy, I was initially blamed for having said it, and it took a lot of correcting for the onus to be on the person that posted it. They also dig deeply enough to find my response on a Facebook post to the person demanding access to my campus list. I was trying to form a youth caucus in my state, and that these people conform to joining National and pay dues. The infamous comment about the person's behavior, both in this situation and on social media, which any Green Party member knows who has been involved for more than 2 years. After coordinating committee harassment on every venue continues on National, when I speak in a logical, measured way, 5 or 6 people dogpile. While working on the accreditation committee, 50 new members from goodness knows what organization join within a short span of time to target the co-chair, disrupt committee recommendations, and target anyone that vocally opposes them, including me. My Facebook account and any other information that can be gathered are searched and statements taken out of context. These people actually took the time to compile a 28-page listing of comments taken out of context, signed by something like 35 people. The numbers may be flipped. It might be 35-28, but only 5 or 6 Green Party members that I could recognize were on a document. And I'm still interested in where they got the rest, but that's another story. Compilations of out of context quotes are sent to my state in an effort to try to remove me from posts. This is unsuccessful due to a former Senate candidate showing up on my behalf and a person sent by the NBC co-chair to have my back speaking up about the toxicity on national along with quotes. I am not removed from position due to their advocacy, although the plant was very vocal about wanting to see it happen. To their credit, the Women's Caucus sent back a letter in return letting them know that they did not dictate who the Women's Caucus appointees are. A press release condemning me by name is issued by the Youth Caucus due to the distortion of information being circulated. Any statements made in committees are immediately dogpiled in an effort to press my voice and input on any matter. I accidentally received an email copy confirming coordination between targeting team on national and my coworkers on the state committee. I issue a cease and desist order for the co-chair's defamation locally. Contact attorneys and Secretary of State, and I'm told that the Secretary of State will not file a discrimination complaint and volunteer political activities. I have no money for an attorney. The continued harassment and name calling goes on state level. Meanwhile, I'm head on a home front, which triggers latent mental health conditions. So this is my experience. I took a 2-year break. I came back, but in the interest of time, I've listed here all the contributions to the state while I was in the state, because when I came back, there were some, after I took the health break, when I came back, I was very welcome. The National Black Caucus welcomed me back in a moment. I posted on the remaining committee, and in another caucus, my favorite stalker oppressor tries to file complaints to oppress my voice. They are unsuccessful, as by then people are on to how they work and do not give it the same weight as they had previously. And here we are. Meanwhile, the white sexist racists are still at work. Newer members to the now formed local Black Caucus challenged me on my return, saying that I did nothing to contribute to the party or in any position when previously participating. So this is recorded. We can play it back on review. I've got a list of things that I did while I worked on state. Among the most, I feel, important contributions were my recruiting in my local community as the co-chair of a congressional district, which is an hour and a half away from the Twin Cities. At least 2 members that I recruited are still involved as far as I know. One became a delegate to state, one sat on a coordinating committee, although several more were interested and could likely be members today without the disruption of efforts due to targeting. I recruited state candidates for statewide office, one for auditor, one for Senate, supported number 3's governor candidacy. The auditor ultimately decided not to run. The Senate and governor candidate were endorsed. I conceived of, wrote bylaws and proposal for a state Black Caucus. It was tabled when I walked away, later taken up by the number 3 person, former governor candidate, who later brought it to fruition after I left to work on my health. Proposed rules and bylaws amendments to the elder platform plank and got adopted new language in accordance with updated findings for my gerontology graduate certificate coursework at the summer 2017 statewide membership meeting. I got a delegate from my local area elected there. My national was a little shorter. I was on for a little over a year. I worked on the accreditation committee. The focus for me was on creating a disability caucus, elder caucus, resurrecting the indigenous caucus, and a veterans for peace caucus. I worked on eco-action. I have several emails proposing press releases and coordination of efforts prior to my leave of absence. I followed developments during the leave. I ran for steering committee, the results of which were detailed earlier. So people ask me, this is all within a 2-year span, and people often ask me, why would you go back to that after receiving this kind of treatment? I do so for 3 reasons. 1, I will never allow racism, sexism, or any form of oppression, other form of oppression, to prevail over anything I set my mind to. 2, I believe in a global Green Party mission that I was originally introduced to and will not allow infiltrators and interrupters to derail my 4-year original commitment to this party and to see where it went from there. My mother, and the third reason is my mother always taught me never to let people run you out of anything. If you leave on top with your head held high and on your own terms, not theirs. Finally, as a communications major, I'd like to end with a few pointers for consideration when it comes to targeting of minorities within the Green Party, especially those of us that are active and vocal. Code switching is one. Some of us can, some of us can't. Some of us don't want to. Some do not, for instance, I may incorporate slang into my writing, not because I don't know how to write or speak in formal ways, but simply because it's my own communication style. I accept the communication style of others and would appreciate not being told how to speak, as that in itself is another form of colonialism and oppression. 2, cultural competency, acceptance of different communication styles. You can read the bullet points there. And then the worldview, where are you from? If a person is arguing a point from a minority perspective that you initially don't want to get on board or agree with, please just listen. Respond to the points they are making. Resist the urge to incorporate hearsay or rumors about them into their message and instead keep the discussion topic centered. Misperceptions and miscommunication is the final pointer. If you do not understand or initially feel a sense of avoidance or reserve about the message, it's okay to say, I don't understand, would you please clarify? This is better received than jumping to conclusions that the person is trying to somehow do something to you, or simply interpreting their message in accordance with whatever rumors or limited knowledge you have about them. It would be great if we could give people the benefit of the doubt that we would appreciate for ourselves. In summary, initially, I thought this was just me. Maybe my personality was too aggressive, or I wasn't communicating right, or I was being too strong in my advocacy for one thing or another. Perhaps I just wasn't being politically savvy enough. But when I spoke with another National Black Caucus member who isn't able to be present, that went through very similar experiences in her state, down to even having members of their family targeted on her social media platforms, I began to realize that I was not alone. When we as Black people or people in other minority demographics are isolated and to have no coalitions in place to support us on local levels, and when we do not support one another on national, we are susceptible to having our contributions interrupted, our voices misinterpreted and distorted, and general reputational smears from conniving people that have nothing better to do than figure out ways to impress important voices that contribute to the dialogue surrounding our demographics. In other words, some want to speak for us, but do everything in their power to keep us from speaking for ourselves. Here we have a panel of very different personalities from very different parts of the country, all sharing similar experiences with participation in the Green Party. What do you think is the common denominator? Thank you for listening, and we'll now open up to question and answer and discussion. Here are some ideas that have been contributed by Ray for solution-focused things that people can do. They can organize to support members who are in these circumstances, create spaces for safety and support, provide resources and hold the space for it, empower in the space, and do the work. Thank you. Now we'll open up for the question and answer sessions, and also I'll leave you with some resources that Ray has also contributed. Thank you.
I'll just take a moment while people are preparing their questions, and we have about a half hour left, so you have plenty of time to take questions. Just want to give you the time check like I promised.
So Dave, will you be reading the questions, or is there a link in our email?
I did send you over the spreadsheet I had promised, but there have been no questions as of yet.
Okay, so can we open up maybe, or should we open the mics
I'm
for,
fine with that.
thank you as well, Ray. Is there any comments, suggestions, questions from, we got 25 people here and only 4 in the panel, so
D,
yes.
there is a question, looks like from and I don't want to mispronounce, Camilla Harris.
Yeah, it's Camila.
Camila, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No problem. To give a little background, I guess, to my question, I'm actually someone that joined the Green Party this past November. I actually did the whole Dem Exit 2020 because I was just tired of the Democratic Party and their rigging ways and all that kind of stuff, among other reasons. So I did re-register Green. Initially, I did it because I wanted to also re-register again to the People's Party, but that didn't work out. And I actually have stories of pro-racism and stuff like that with them as well. So that's why I just decided to remain green.
I've heard.
I'm sorry. But my question is about like any like I guess caucuses or groupings within the Green Party for like black voters or black people. Um, has there been any kind of collective like raising of like the issues that are going on within the Green Party as a whole from like a black caucus or a black voters group or something like that within the Green Party? And I bring this up because I was a part of the effort in Movement for a People's Party to petition our leadership about some of the issues that we experienced in the Black voter circle regarding like just pro-racism, not only on our workspace, but also kind of punched down toward us from the leadership. Because we were giving like quotas like, oh, basically you're supposed to be bringing the blacks into MPP. You're not supposed to focus on policy. And what our group wanted to do was we wanted to focus on policies affecting black people. And so I just wanted to know if there was any kind of like similar experience where, there has been any punching down to the caucus or, trying to redirect, the focus of the Black caucus to something else, things like that, anything like that.
I can answer that. Everyone that's presenting today is a member of the National Black Caucus of the Green Party of the United States. If you just Google, you can find us. Or send me an email. I'm the secretary at present, and Robin is also the parliamentarian. Please send an email to bcgpus@gmail.com. Just let us know who you are, that you're interested in joining. I will send you the registration links. We have a meeting coming up on Monday, a general meeting that I would welcome you to come to. And so as soon as I receive the email, I will ensure that you have all of the information you need to attend.
D, may I?
Yes, please.
I think because, and this very well could be issues in other parties, is like, who do you tell? Who do you go to for help to resolve? And I think within the Green Party, it's difficult because there is an abuse of what we call decentralization. So I think one thing that that we're trying to do within the Black Caucus is to organize it in a fashion as to where we're building and organizing the political strategies and needs for Black people within the party, because we're finding the more injured people and then they leave. Those of us who are probably on this call, and some of them, this is my first time meeting, and it pains me as a former co-chair to know that some of these things have happened. But we have often found no resolve, and we've lost some talented people because there is like no resolution or no one to tell. And so we have to find a way to out organize or organize around these issues that are being organized. And so please, Camila, just connect with us so that we can out organize around and over and above these colonial and racist issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking. We hope to see you there. Are there any other questions? Oh, I see a comment in the chat that the Diversity Committee is also working to address these profoundly upsetting issues. And Anita Rios is the co-chair.
Oh,
Anita Stack.
Hi, Anita. Please, go ahead, Anita.
One, I just wanted to thank you, Dee, for putting this on, and to say that I recall when that stuff was happening that you described, and I know that even for some of us,
you gonna be able to get it in there?
Are you able to hear me?
I'm sorry. Could you please mute, Camila? Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, some of us, we did try. And as Robin says, there was not a process. It was very hard to try to fix some of those things in real time as they were happening to you. And it was heartbreaking. And as they were happening to you, some of us who did try to help and speak up were also targeted. And, I recall somebody, the person that I think you are well aware of, who is also a woman of color, who demanded to me that I advocate to have you removed from the accreditation committee. And to me, this goes into the other presentation that you will be doing on paternalism. For somebody to be able to say to another person, you do this, it removes that person's agency. And it's, I have to say, I have a lot of faith in the Green Party. I have a lot of faith in the people who are here. You all contribute through this and through many other things that you do. All of you contribute a tremendous thing. And I think that if we succeed in this thing, we will make the whole world better, and we will create a process for communication that really humanity has not mastered, or at least not mastered since we were all subject to colonialism. But to just be a little bit shorter, I feel like all of the seeds for the solutions are being planted here through these workshops and through our discussions that we are having, and the insight that we had to even focus on this through this convention. So I know that this is not the solution and it's not the end, but it's my sincere hope that all of us will take what we learn here and move it forward to the next step and find those answers. And again, my sincerest and deepest apologies to you and to all of the other presenters who have had to accept the unacceptable. Over.
Thank you, Anita. And thank you also for the work and advocacy you've done. I do want to add a little bit of, another perspective to minority people in front of different movements against other minority people. My suggestion is that for our allies, look at who's behind the people that are advocating. When they're targeting other minorities, look at the people that are following them and doing most of the work for the soldier and foot work for them. And it'll tell you, maybe a little bit more about what's really going on. Over.
Dee, might I say something? This is Ani, I'm sorry.
Hi, Ani.
Yes, I think also with that, in just because this other person that may have had something to do with any incident is a woman or even a person of color does not negate the fact that they participate in patriarchy or anti-Blackness and anti people of color. I think that needs to be understood. Simply because a person is Black does not mean that they are in support of the progression of Black people. The same goes with, there are certain women that engage in patriarchy. And even though they're women, they fight against their own best interests. And that needs to be understood. So the face of adversary isn't always one that's opposite. It is often sometimes the same. That hadn't been my personal experience, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't happen. That doesn't mean that it isn't something that is occurring, simply because that is used as, well, this person is Black, so they can't be supporting this, and that's not true. These are systems that are happening. These are systems that are in place that are pushing the rest of us to fight back. And when we hear things like, oh, well, this person is doing this in spite of, or this person is in support of this, that is a part of what I was speaking about earlier, of dismissiveness of what is actually hurting someone and making other people want to not be a part of it. Over.
Thank you very much, Ani. You said it right there. And sometimes there are minority faces. I see. Sometimes there are minority faces that are put in front of white movements, because in that way people feel like, oh, we're not racist if we follow this person. So I see in the chat here that Aki, ACQUI, Aki,
It's Jackie.
and then Jackie are on Stack.
It's me.
Oh, Jackie.
Day off.
I was like, oh, a new person, Aki. Okay. Hi, Jackie.
I'm the new Aki. I don't have a question. I just want to say, as Dee knows, I was with Dee almost all the way on Dee's run and through all of that mess and all that went down. And to say that our party has some work to do is an understatement. But also, I think that what we're doing here, as Anita said, is that stepping stone to what we need. And the mere fact that even though it's been all that time, and thank heavens you came back, that we are actually now addressing it, and that we didn't just say forget it, means an awful lot. And to have so many, sorry, I get emotional about this, have so many amazing people just on this Zoom, but in this whole working together, it makes my heart feel like we have some chance to make a difference. And that's so important. So I want to thank you for this workshop and the one that we're going to do on Saturday. Thanks, Dee.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you very much for your insight, your support. I really can't thank the people that, like Anita said, that during the time when all this was going on with me, they did, people spoke up and later became targets themselves. So how can we as a party speak up when we see something wrong and we see, a gang of people ganging up on a person, especially a person that's already got, the cards stacked against them coming into the party? How can we all maybe do this without becoming targets ourselves? How can we all contribute to the discussion, or, get these kind of things kind of more balanced out for grassroots participation purposes?
Dee?
Good for that. Yes, ma'am.
So something to, I'd like to say something to what Ani said about the different face. And so oftentimes we deal with, it's colonialism, this white power and black face. And that happens in our cities, our states. We have folks that are in office. They may be black and brown people, but they're tooled by colonialism. And so they're going to operate out of that same vein. And so it's really important that we organize in a sense, even within this party. Like, the apologies are fine, that's good. Healing is good. That's a place for that. But we need resources. If this party is serious about us being contenders in this political climate, and I mean, even before I decided to run for office this time around, we need support. We need resources. After you rub my back and make me feel better, then we need support. There's incredible people who have come to this party with so many skill sets, and we've lost them. And some of them we've lost back probably to the other parties. But as I said before, and I'm going to probably sound like a broken record, there are people, these people in the parties, whether Democrats, whatever, they're all people and they all have issues. So people in the Green Party, they have issues, not anything different or unique. It feels that way because we thought it would be better. But these are people in age-old, ancient issues of colonialism and race that are played out. And so we're seeing it even here. So, but we need repair. We need different types of reparations, even in this moment, to heal for this. If you're serious about that, those of us who are in the Green Party, we have several Black candidates that are running. And I'm not talking about tokenization, but I'm talking about truly supporting them and giving us the resources that we need to be able to compete, to be able to be in the places that we need to be. So I wanted to share that because this is not just for a feel-good moment. If we are truly to be the political force that we are intended to be, we need support.
Ray Stack.
Right on. Is someone speaking?
Ray Stack? Or,
Hi, Ray.
Hi. So just to piggyback off of that as well, we also have to keep in mind that when we do see people being frightened off, or we see that these behaviors are being used towards people, and we know that it's wrong, or that we're maybe even feeling uncomfortable, there's a reason for that, and listening to those reasons. The intent to make people feel uncomfortable is intentional. So when you see someone being bullied, you feel uncomfortable and you feel like if you say something, you might get bullied too. And that is completely intentional. So when we see these things happening and not speaking up does normalize it. And so when we see that people of Black and brown people, or people who are not white, or people who are not in the norm, are being chased away, what we're seeing is the result of normalizing a lot of this behavior. So recognizing that these people need support and taking an active role in being more supportive is really important. Thank you. Over.
Okay, well, you're spot on with your message, and thank you very much for putting that forward, Ray. I see that in our chat, Jake Kula has made a comment from Maine. The people in power have convinced us that we are in competition with each other. Yes, when in fact we all lose when those in power keep us divided. Excellent point. Lizzie Adams writes, and we are unanimous for Robin to be our speaker July 25th at Lafayette Square, DC, for the Unblock Cuba rally. Please support her in this and on her run for House District in Florida. And so someone is asking, what is Robin's campaign website?
Oh, so I'm 2 weeks, my website is not up, but if you're asking for like where to donate, I can get that information to you. We're about a week and a half, and the past few days, I think I got like hacked on some different accounts, so I've just been a little paranoid the past 48 hours. So yeah, but thank you, Belinda. I'll make sure that I get that information to you.
And do you have her information?
Yes, I know. This is my friend Belinda in Philly.
Okay. All right, wonderful.
I believe so.
Okay, well, we still have about 12 minutes left. If anyone has a comment, question, suggestion on, maybe what they feel that can be done to basically stop a lot of the targeting of minorities within this caucus, it would be really welcome and well received. I personally, since I've come in and out, I've seen, just like Robin has stated, some really, really amazing people with a great skill set just come and go, just because of how they're treated on national, how what they witness happening to other people, some of the behavior also is a deterrent. So what can we do, moving forward is the question. I believe that the National Black Caucus will be further examining these issues. So please do stay tuned to our live streams. But in the interim, I'm reading the comments there. Someone is saying, thanks to everyone for being here. The last chance for questions, shameless plug for the GPUS store.
And Richard has his hand up, D.
Oh, Richard, okay.
Someone named Richard.
Richard from suburbs, the north suburbs of Chicago. Do you have the experience where, because of the diversity issue, they're willing to have people of color be like the face, but not really be the voice of the party? I mean, I know because of paternalism, which you said was going to be talked about later in the thing, but that's what experience you have with that.
I'd like Ani to take that question. She has some really good insight about how we join, and we're basically put forward like the minute we join. We're putting into these positions, and we're like, well, wow, thank you. And that happened to me here. It happened to Ani. It's happened to Robin. Ani, would you like to answer Richard's question, please?
Sure, absolutely. I think we have to be, and thank you for your question. I think we have to be mindful that the person wants to be a part and not tokenize them. It's very important to not make the person feel as if, oh, look, we have this Black person or we have this person of color. We're going to put them out front, but their voices aren't truly being heard. I think that's happened to several of us, and it's problematic, to say the least, that you look around the room and none of the things that face you or things that you have experienced are being focused on or being addressed, but you're the face. We want to put you out in front. We want pictures with you. We want people to see you. And it's this false representation of inclusivity, but that's not what's actually happening. You lose your voice in that. You lose your footing in that, and it feels inauthentic, and it's very disempowering. It makes you feel like you're not actually being heard. You're just here. We're going to stick you out front to be seen, but we're not going to listen to you. We're not going to address anything that you're facing. We're not going to actually do any work on your behalf or take any of your suggestions. But hey, get really close to this candidate so we can get this picture, or stand right here in the front so we can put you on this flyer or this program or have you speak. And I think asking the person and being very understanding of not tokenizing people is of the utmost importance when dealing with people in that space, because we're a marginalized group within a larger space. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's for Ray, actually. I know.
Is this Jackie?
Yeah, it's Jackie. I'm sorry, honey. I know that when you're on host, you can't see a lot of things that you really shouldn't see.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. But I just wanted to ask Ray, since Ray is fairly new to the party and here she is running for steering committee, if she feels, how she feels. Now, I want to tell you, I don't know you, Ray, but I know that I've said to many people that I feel that you wouldn't be doing anything you didn't want to do. But I'd like to hear from you what you feel about what's going on. Thank you.
I would honestly say that one of the things that I have been able to encounter with speaking to many of the Black women in and many of the Black people in the Green Party is that oftentimes what we hear are stories very similar to Dee's, people who have put in a lot of time, who have put in a lot of effort, and who have often received a lot of pushback or challenges. And so I think one of the awesome things that I've been able to bring to be able to run for steering committee at this moment is just fresh energy and being able to be hopeful and want to work with everyone, which I do want to do. So I thank you so much, Jackie, for this question, because I do think that it can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. People don't, I don't think people recognize that oftentimes with people from the Black community, Black women, when there's been a lot of time and effort and stress put behind a job, whether it's paid or volunteering, it can affect our health. And there aren't a lot of records or research on this being promoted and being seen. So for people who have devoted, years like Ani, who's been doing it since she's 16, or people who have focused their energy on changing the space, like Robin, or for people like Dee, who have had so many experiences, that takes a toll on people's health. And so I know that there's a lot to be said about me bringing in so much new and fresh energy, but I'm glad that I'm able to, after my work for over 20 years, be able to bring in so much fresh and new energy and focus on being able to adapt and change the environment. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, Ray. Yeah, that pretty much. Ani, would you also want to speak on some of the things that we have to kind of overcome in order to be able to volunteer and contribute?
Sure. I think a lot of things that I have personally had to overcome has been trying to be in a space and have your politics not affect the rest of your life. Being progressive, being Black, and being in the South is in constant turmoil, to say the least. And it has a tendency to affect the rest of your life. You can't, or you're put in a position to where if you speak too loudly in any of those spaces, you're deemed aggressive, or you're made to feel as if you are hard to work with, you're difficult, you push too much, you're too loud, you're not loud enough, but they want you to do the work in every space. And that can become very stressful. It can create all types of anxiety, and it can be damaging not only to your health, but to your environment, your family space. Once I became a mother, I put a lot of the forefront activism to the back burner, became more support, because I have small children, and I had to explain that, look, I can't put my body on the line like I used to. My children are my revolution now. I have to make a space for them in a different way. That has to be respected as a woman, as a mother, as a person who is trying to make a difference. Because I'm not doing activism the way I used to does not diminish the work that I do. I think that needs to be held to a certain esteem. That's very important, that everyone's activism doesn't look the same, but that does not discredit what their efforts are. Over.
Thank you so much for explaining explaining some of we're just touching on it, on different things that we do have to overcome in our lives. And we all have to remember this is volunteer. We're in it because our hearts are in it, not because we need to belong to any group or anything like that. It's because we are having real life experiences that we want to see change on a fundamental level. And we come to the Green Party with the hopes that, you know, through our policies of grassroots democracy and participation, that we would actually be able to contribute and be respected as individuals. We have 2 minutes left until the end of this presentation. I want to thank everyone who's attended and contributed comments and questions. And any further comments and questions, you can go ahead and send to the email that I put above, bcgpus@gmail.com. And we will do our best to post that on our Facebook page or somewhere where you can see it, or maybe Nation Builder. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the rest of the A&M and a wonderful day. Thank you.
If you're not busy, don't forget the post event tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be there. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for hosting this for us, Dave.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Ray.